I love college football 26, but zone coverage is absolutely broken in this game. There are huge problems with nearly every zone, but I've found some tips and tricks that you can use to address these issues to improve your defender's zone coverage. So I want to start with one of the biggest issues on this game, and that is shading is absolutely broken in many ways. One of the biggest ways shading is broken is with dealing with quick flat throws. If you come out in any defense, whether it's cover 2 or whatever, and you shade your coverage underneath to get a hard flat, you would expect that hard flat defender would jump routes into the flat, whether it's to the running back, a quick drag, whatever, potentially giving you a pick six, or at the very least, a broken up pass. But the reality is, it just really doesn't work that way. You're going to see here, I can just quickly throw it to the running back, and I get like 3 or 4 yards. That should not be the case. If we just stick in Tampa 2 with a cloud flat instead of a hard flat, we get very much a similar outcome. You're seeing here, we get a 3 or 4 yard gain. And shading just doesn't do anything. Now, you'll notice very similarly, if we shade our zones down and, I just throw a quick out or a quick drag, just something quick, you're going to notice that the flat zone just doesn't defend it. I'm able to just chuck it, and granted, I'm getting 3, 4, 5 yards, but that's actually very bad. And if you guys notice, the reason why this is happening with these hard flats is that I've noticed that they almost carry downfield a second longer than they should if there's a vertical route. So here, when there's a fade, you're going to notice that a hard flat is not going to jump into the flat immediately. He's going to back up for a step or two, and I guess that's to kind of help the deep half get to the sideline, but still, that's not really what we want. So what I've noticed is, in order to defend this quick flat throws, you can't shade your coverage. You actually have to turn your zone drops on. So one thing you can do is just set your flats to 5 or 0. The funny thing about this is that I found even 5 sometimes doesn't do the trick. Really, if you're going to want to consistently actually have the flats defended 100%, for sure, you actually have to put them on 0. In the past, you could do 5, no problem, and it would work. This year, that's even hit or miss. So I found that 0 is really got to be what it is if you really want that pass to get broken up. Now, you also could use zone stemming. You don't necessarily have to use zone drops. If you didn't have your zone drops on, you could just stem your zone down by clicking on them, hitting the custom zone button, and just moving them down. You can also move them up, down, whichever way you want to go. But if you don't have your zone drop set, you can just custom stem your zone, and this will take care of that. Now, unfortunately, that's far from the only problem. Another huge problem is shading is absolutely worthless on hook zones. So you would think here, if we shade our hook zones down, that the defense would probably stop drags, right? Or return routes, or just quick, 2 to 5 yard routes over the middle, right? No. If you shade down, that does literally nothing. I can just throw the drag, turn that upfield, get huge yards. And that is the case on either side of the field. I can shade my whole entire coverage underneath, even get hard flats. And if they just do a route combo like this, something very basic to where they have a corner, flat, something over the middle of a seam, potentially a post, and then a drag, those hook zones are absolutely worthless. Real quick, guys, if you want to dominate college football 26 and win more games, sign up for my VIP membership on Sportsgamerz.com. You'll get access to all my premium content for the entire year, including all my offensive and defensive ebooks, weekly tip updates, and more. I'm running a limited time sale on my yearly membership where you get 7 months for free and 6 bonus ebooks. Over 99% of our members say that they win more games with our tips. Click the link in the description of this video and start winning more games now. If you look at the replay, you'll see that they're about 5 to 10 yards downfield at the snap, immediately. They don't come up. No, they drift back. That's a good 7, 8, 9 yards. And at that point, this is over with. I can just quickly throw this, and that's easy yardage. Now, same thing with the flats. You could zone drop them to 5, but this year, honestly, that doesn't even guarantee you results. What you really need to do is click onto them individually and custom stem their zone down. And to do that, you just hit the X or A button, the custom zone button, and then you just hit the analog stick down as many times as you want. I wouldn't literally put it in the backfield like this, but at the 2 to 3 yard area like this is actually really good. And you can do this on whichever hook zones you need to do. to help against the drags. Now you'll see if we do a route combo with a bunch of drags and some sort of seam, streak, whatever, all we really need to do ourselves is just watch the drag for like a split second over the middle, then we can drop back, and if they try to throw that, that zone is actually there for potentially a pick. Okay? So that's actually very good. Unfortunately, there are still way bigger issues we gotta address. One of them I've seen people mention a lot is that their corners in zone coverage are running across the field, giving up free touchdowns. This is because your cornerback matchups need to be set to balance at all times. If you put them by speed or whatever, that is what causes that. So if you see that happen, double check your corner matchups and make sure it's set to balance. That will stop that from happening. Now, the other big problem is that just like shading underneath, shading over the top is terrible. And I would say it's even worse than shading underneath. One thing I've noticed is if I put my zone drops on, shading over the top destroys it. And here's what I mean. So right here, I have my curl flats on. I have them on 20, right? Now, we just came out in cover 4 drop with our zone drop set to 20. One huge mistake I see players make here is they shade their coverage over the top because they think this will help defend the sidelines, but it actually destroys your zones. So here we're going to run basically some sort of flat with the whip, zig, seam streak, stem down corner. Very basic yet effective type of route combo where you have a stem down corner, a seam streak, and some route just basically occupying the flat, okay? And you're going to notice that with your zones shaded over the top, even though we did a zone drop, that zone is basically going to move in slow motion. Notice how that flat zone literally got stuck. He did nothing. This is a huge problem because you're seeing that he's not even making an attempt to get to the sideline. He's just stuck. He's basically, like I said, in slow motion. That's 3 yards. Now watch the difference here. If we don't shade our coverage over the top, we're going to be able to actually get out there. See how he actually sprints out there? And this is a much tougher throw. Now, I know what you guys are saying. You're going to say, well, Duke, you should have shaded your coverage down and then over the top to get a cloud flat. Well, let's try that. Remember, right now, I do not have zone drop set for my flat zone. This is just a stock cloud flat. Now, do the same route combo. And what you're going to notice is stock cloud flats, they also get stuck. They do not defend the sideline at all. And this is really frustrating. So, what you need to do to best solve all these problems for your zone drops, I would put your flats on 20 or 25, your curl flats, on 5, and your hooks on 5. This will actually do a pretty good job, but you still need to be careful. So let me explain what I mean. Now, with these zone drops, we can shade our coverage down and then over the top to get cloud flats. And you will see when we do this, if we do the same route combo, this cloud flat will sprint out to the sideline and make that a difficult throw, but you have to be very careful because last year, if you remember, it was actually better to shade your coverage underneath to get a zone drop hard flat. Remember, even last year when you zone drop your cloud flats, they wouldn't do a good job, but hard flats did. Well, this year, it's kind of the opposite. If you shade your coverage underneath to get a hard flat and you have your flat zone drop, like you can see, my hard flat is supposed to play 20-ish yards downfield, right? This should defend this route combo. But it doesn't do as good of a job as cloud flat. Watch what happens. See how at the last second that dude got sucked to the inside? Now I got an inaccurate throw, but I'm going to do that again. You're going to see that hard flats get sucked into the inside. They don't get out to the sideline enough. So if somebody knows, wait, bam, and they throw it. Now I got a red pass, so it's incomplete. But you're seeing that that flat zone is getting sucked into the inside at the end of the play. That's really bad. That's really bad. So that's also a huge problem. What I would actually do in a situation if you're trying to defend both the sideline and the quick flat is do a combo coverage like this where you have a double Mabel. So essentially on this side of the field, on the wide side, we're doing a 20-yard cloud flat, a 5-yard curl flat. And the cloud flat could be 25 as well, but something like that. A 5-yard curl flat. So we got cover 2 over here, and then we're playing cover 3 on this side, and we're defending the middle of the field ourselves. Now this should do a good job against this route combo, because we have the curl flat for the little whip, the cloud flat for the streak, or I'm sorry, the corner, and then I can watch the middle, and that actually does a really good job, okay? So that is my preferred method to take all this away. I know it's extremely frustrating having to do all this to get your zones play as they should, but at least now you guys have some tools to combat these horrible zones. If you like this video, smash that like button. I'm out.